The interview that you're about to watch is hands down the most exciting, inspiring interview that we've ever posted on this channel. And that's because the person I'm talking to is Dr. Eric Fishon, one of our first clients ever, who went on to earn 7 different college degrees in the last 3 years. That includes 2 bachelors, 4 masters, a doctorate. Oh, and then there's also 3 more graduate certificates, and he's working on another master's and 2 more certificates. The guy is a beast. And the point of this interview is not to say that you need to go earn that many degrees or that it's necessarily a good idea for you and your career and your spot in life. The point is to show you that it can be done. And what's especially inspiring is that, as you'll hear, Eric actually struggles with several invisible disabilities and helps other people who have invisible disabilities overcome them in pursuit of their higher education dreams as well. And it all started about 3 years ago. Eric was one of our very first clients at College Hacked, and he went on to graduate from the University of Maine at Presque Isle in under 6 months for under $2,500. That was back when we didn't even know that was possible. I really think you're going to enjoy his humility, his passion for helping other people, and just the level of expertise he brings, that perspective he brings for what is possible when you look at college a different way and when you're willing to be a disruptor. So without further ado, I'll shut up and let's hear from Eric. Dr. Eric Fishon, welcome back, Eric.
It is a pleasure to be back here at one of my favorite places where everything started.
We did a video with you initially telling a lot of your story, and I will go ahead and link that, either on the screen or down below in the description. But do you mind just giving us, just to help everybody kind of catch up, just briefly tell us a little bit about how you went from high school to deciding, hey, I want to go back to college?
So I'm just turned 50, and 1992 is when I graduated high school. If you can't hear from the accent, I live in New York. So when I graduated high school, unbeknownst to me of having a disability of ADHD and also chronic fatigue, I went to community college, and for lack of a better term, I couldn't hack it. I was just exhausting there. And I tried, and I wound up going back for a degree in political science. I started then to try to go to the University of Florida, and I couldn't do it. The regular classroom routine of going to a class every day, being in front of all those people, it wasn't doing it. I went into the workforce. I worked in radio for 10 years. Then I worked for Southwest Airlines in the airline industry, and I just finished working in banking for 20 years. And in that time period, I felt like I was missing something. And I felt like I was living some truth that, where is that paper? And I started, going on YouTube, and your show popped up. And I'm like, what is this Sophia thing? But who would have thought we'd be sitting here now with 5 master's degrees, 2 bachelor's degrees, a doctorate, and 4 graduate certificates.
I had always kind of hedged my bets and said, it'll take a person a year and a half. It'll take a person, somewhere between a year and 2 years, because I didn't want to set expectations so high and then people come in and they're totally disappointed and you just blew expectations out of the water. Like, you picked up Sophia, you ran with it. 6 months after our first meeting, you were graduated. You just did 1 term at UMPI, right?
Yeah, so what wound up happening is, and I remember as soon as I heard these words, you can take as many classes as you want. I'm like, say what? So wait, I'm going to pay my money and you're going to let me take the classes? I was like, I got to figure out a process. And I remember when we first talked and you're like, how'd you do it? And I said, when I was working out, I was reading. When I was walking, I was reading, and I was doing this throughout the day. Things might have changed since then, but you're only allowed to take, 2 courses at a time over at UMPI. But you always were able to look at the end and see what the end goal was. And one of the things that I found great was with Sophia, they are such a great organization that for just that small membership, and, hey, results vary everywhere, but continuously taking their courses, I learned so much there that it set me up. I actually took 15 classes in 1 semester, and 3 of those classes transferred to the masters.
It was amazing to me, especially that, not only did you finish all the 10 courses that you needed at UMPI, which I realize you and I were saying UMPI, UMPI. For anybody who doesn't know, that stands for University of Maine at Presque Isle, which is a competency-based school, which basically means you pay a subscription fee for a certain amount of time, and then you try to go through as many courses as possible. And each course course basically just has one big assignment that you have to do well on. And once you do that, they load you into another course. So I remember you telling me that you had finished those and then you had extra time. And I hadn't even thought that was possible at that point. I was thinking it's going to be very, very rare to find somebody who can finish all 10 in one term. Then you just started knocking out master's level courses. It changed my mindset even for what I thought was possible for college hacking. Oh man, it's just demoralizing when you have this big goal and then you're arbitrarily told to sit down, shut up, listen, and wait to be able to reach the goal. And it's like, hey, but I'd like to work ahead. I'd like to work harder. And the regular college system says, nope, no thanks. You're like,
Let's remember, these college systems, it is business. They are not giving anything away for free. They have marketers, promotional people, and half the time when you call these people, the people who answer the phones are salespeople who don't even work for the university. You got to do your homework, and that's why listening to your channel and having a consultation with you is actually needed, because or else you can get sucked into the system, and as much as you think, hey, I watched the channel so I know what to do on my own, it doesn't work. Because you don't know what those courses and the right ones to take are. You need some sort of guidance.
and I really appreciate you saying that. So you finished in 6 months and then you basically said that's not good enough, like I want some more. What was the next degree that you went and got?
I had the whole doctoral thing in my head, but I didn't even know where to go and what to do on that. So first I said, you know what? I want an MBA. I never got an MBA before. I was working in finance. I found Hellenic American University. They are based in Greece, but they have an American accreditation. And I had such a great time in that MBA program. The way it was still set up, it was very personable. And you could pick a lot of courses. I finished that in under a year as well. But at the same time I was doing that, I was doing another university and getting a master's in theological studies. I think what University of Maine at Presque Isle did is it gave me that I can do this. I felt more empowered, and I realized that these places have resource centers for people with disabilities. Going for those MBAs and then all of a sudden finding that you could do a doctoral in 1 year.
I think we sort of mentioned in passing, you got your Master's of Organizational Leadership at UMPI, and then you signed up for their Master's and knocked that out in another term. But there was also the Bachelor's of Business Administration, because the first Bachelor's you got was Liberal Studies from UMPI. Where did the Bachelor's in Business Administration come from?
When I was in there doing those 15 classes, I didn't know that I was only one class away from having another bachelor's. Now, the rules have changed, and I failed one class in math, and when you fail, you fail. Thesis, pass, fail. Then they didn't have any rules that you had to take another 10 or anything like that. So I was able just to take one course and just get another bachelor's. And I was like, if I'm going to get an MBA, why have an MBA and not have the business one?
You could almost make a mosaic at this point. By my count, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 degrees. And then we didn't mention this, but it's worth mentioning. I think you told me that you also have 3 graduate certificates in various topics. And then you're still working on the Master's of Science in Stress Manifestations. And then what are the other 2?
I'm also right now in the psychology of emotions at Cornell, which is phenomenal. I love it so much. Yeah. And I am very proud to be going back I was just accepted back to the University of Florida for Disabilities in Society program. That is my focus, to help people with unseen disabilities. In the beginning, I want to do this just because I want to show Cliff and I want to show everybody else what I can do. But then you get to a point and you're like, where am I and what do I want to be? And, I was doing these other Orthodox studies and I'm like, I can help people in so many different ways. And I got the Biblical Studies certificate. And then I got these masters. And I said, you know what? How can I leave a legacy? How can I help other people get to where I was today? And I remember when I was applying to be the speaker at graduation over at UMPI, and I came in number 2nd. But I remember one of the quotes I came up with is, always remember where you're going, never forget where you've been, and always bend down to help somebody else get to where you are today.
That's amazing, man. I literally got some goosebumps with that quote. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. That's why we do videos and conversations like this. People have a lot of reasons why they feel like this couldn't work. And so now we get to have this conversation with you and learn just how feasible something like this is. A couple of lead-offs from there. One, I want to talk about Dr. Disruptor and all the things that you've been doing for people who are hacking college, but who have disabilities. But I also want to ask kind of a philosophical question here. What makes learning challenging? And I'll sort of clarify this a little bit. When I thought of learning when I was younger, I thought of it as you have to just be super smart and you have to make all the connections and you have to always get the answers right. And as I've gone through, to me, it's felt more like following rules and just putting in the work to learn the information. How has your view of how learning works changed from, high school to doctorate?
When you have a disability, every type of learning is different. And anybody who has a disability knows that. So you have to be able to first accept your disability. And then you have to find the resources because nobody else is going to help you find it. No college is going to say, hey, it looks like you might have a disability somewhere. Let us show you where to go to help you. You have to find those resources. I have to tell my college professors that, hey, I can't always be on screen with the camera on. So these people who might be scared to go to school or scared to call Cliff because they say, you know what, I have ADHD or I have anxiety or I don't think I can make it. Yeah, you have the right to go to school. You have the right to hack the system as well, just like anybody else. Yeah, and the thing is, don't just jump into something. I even made the mistake jumping into my doctoral program, not knowing enough about the college, not knowing about their disability services or lack thereof. That was a hard year. Thankfully, it gave me my name, Dr. Disruptor, came because that is what a professor called me and said that I was being a disruptor to the organization by trying to make changes. And you know what, though? I took something negative and put something positive in it.
I guess the big question here is, where do you find the time to get all of these 7 degrees, 3 certificates, working on 2 more certificates and another degree?
I don't drink. I don't smoke. This is my drug. This has helped me in my therapy to do it. I take care of a child with special needs and I was working full time, but I have just found that this was my release where some people might go out to hang out with friends all the time. I would rather be doing this. This is what I love. And when you love something so much, you find the time for it. Now, I'm not going to say that people with families, it's not a sacrifice. It is, but you can still make the sacrifice in a way that you can get your family involved. I had my kid doing flashcards with me. You can have fun with the family and going to school and make it a whole family thing. And you don't have to go this fast, but enjoy it.
It is a good thing for us to acknowledge that you do not have to go as fast as Eric. It can be a little bit intimidating to hear about some of the things that he's up to and some of the things that he's accomplished. And there are going to be people out there who just don't enjoy the higher education learning process. And I would say in that case, instead of looking at it as, hey, this is my joy, this is my release, this is where I have fun, look at it as a means to accomplish the thing you are really excited about. Always keep that long-term goal that you're accomplishing in the forefront. If it's a promotion, anytime you're getting frustrated, just remind yourself why you're doing this. If it's a new job or a new career, think about the new kinds of people you'll be able to help in new and different ways, right? Look to the positive, look to the long term, and keep going back to that. There is still so much more that we could talk about, so much more we could go into, but the thing that we really need to talk about here is you've been doing a lot of work, not only in talking to people online, but also some of the writing that you're doing on the side. What is Dr. Disruptor about? What are you up to? How can people connect with you? And what can they expect from you in the future?
So right now, my whole thing is, as I'm writing some peer-reviewed articles, my whole thing as Dr. Disruptor is helping people with unseen disabilities realize that a disability is not an inability. And just because you can't see it doesn't mean that it's not there. And which is very, very important these days. So I'm trying to, there's a book that's called, Disrupt Yourself, which is a business book. And I'm trying to disrupt the norm. And the way I'm doing that is, I'm doing it at Dr. College Hacked on Twitter and at Dr. Disruptor on YouTube. But I'm coming out with, a website and I'm writing a book. I'm going to write 2 books. One is going to be about my whole entire process with you and with everything else. And the other one is Coming Out of the Fog. And Coming Out of the Fog basically speaks about on how I didn't realize where I was all these years ago. And my experiences of, I was taking naps in closets because I was so exhausted and tired and I thought I was lazy, and how the anxiety and depression would be there. And I just thought I was dumb. So I don't want people to have to feel that way, not knowing with these autoimmune diseases, like chronic fatigue and stuff like that, that there's no cures for those things, but there is still a way you can achieve success and feel good about it. That's my next dream. I mean, whoever thought that I can become a doctor? I never thought I could even possibly think about a book. And if I can do that and help one person, when somebody tells you that you made a difference in their life, that makes you just want to help 20 more people, 30 more
Mm.
people. And, I'm going to tell people this. If you have a disability and you have a question, let me know. If you've gone through this and now you're successful, hit me up. You never know where opportunities arise to help other people. And that's my next thing is just to help people make differences in their world and leave a legacy.
That is awesome. We're going to include links to all of this down in the description. People will be able to follow you on Twitter and conversate with you. I know you've been present in the comment sections of the YouTube videos. No pressure to do that again, but there's a chance, I'll say, knowing what I know of Eric, that if you ask a question in the comments in this video, near when it's launched, he might see it and might respond there. But I think better to follow him where he's at, just so you can stay up with what he's doing and continue to support his projects and his mission. Eric, we're coming to the end, but there is so much about you that is fascinating and interesting and inspiring for people who are watching this channel. What have I missed? What more do we need to discuss as we come to a close here?
The only thing that I can tell you is even when you start the school, you get in and you start, you need to remember it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to get confused. Just because you're hacking the system and just because you have your plan, it's okay for your plan to go a different way. Don't give up because of that. Don't stop because of that. You are in an opportunity in a world right now where there's so much going on out there, but education is at a spot where online is your golden opportunity because the biggest schools are doing more online than they've ever done before and asynchronistic. If you've ever thought about going back to school, this is your time to do it. But make sure the school you're picking, you're not just picking to do the quickest to get the paper. Look at the accreditation. Look at the people who have been there and taught there.
Solid advice. Ties in so well with something we talk about a lot. Basically, you got to plan backwards. Where do you need to be? What do you need to get there? And to get there, if it involves a bachelor's degree, you need a real one. You got to put in the work and put in the time. And that time doesn't have to be a long time because, like we were talking about, you graduated from University of Maine at Presque Isle in 6 months, and that represented a whole heck of a lot of work. You put in a ton of effort to make that happen, but it doesn't need to be 4 years, like the system has been telling us for years and years and years. And I like what you said too about it's okay to not be okay. And I was going to make the joke that this comes from a guy who's getting a certificate in psychology of emotions from Cornell, so you can trust what he's saying. Well, hey, Eric, it has been marvelous catching up with you. Thank you for taking the time. Thanks for being such a supporter of the channel. Thanks for being a friend. And thanks for doing everything that you do to help other college hackers out there.
Hey, you keep up the good work because of anyone out there. When you say it, you care about the people you work with. And that's a lot different than a lot of people out there. You follow up with people, you care about them, and even when you're not working with them, you still answer questions and you're still just a phone call away. And that's the measure of a man. I appreciate it.
Dr. Eric Fishon is one of the coolest people out there, I think. Super inspiring story. It's such an honor to get to talk to him and to hear about all of the things that he's doing and how he takes the energy he has for earning degrees and for learning and for having cool educational experiences and transfers that into trying to help other people be able to do the exact same thing. Eric, thank you for being on, for sharing your story, and just for the people that you're helping all the time. I think that's really awesome. If anybody does want to talk to Eric or hear more about what he's doing, we'll post his social links in the description. And he said so many nice things about what College Hack does that I don't want to talk about it too much, but I will say that if you're interested in getting started on this same kind of process, or maybe you just need one degree and not 7, 8, plus a bunch of certificates, you can check out our consultations at the link in the description. We'd be happy to help you go and earn your degree on your terms quickly and inexpensively so that you can build a career that you love. That's what we're all about. We hope that it's helpful to you, as well as all these free videos that we post on the channel. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you again, Eric, and happy hacking.